Hey, what's up, my friend? So, welcome back to another week of our weekly market analysis. So, for those of you who are new, right, if it's the first time you're watching this video, my name is Rainer. Hello, right? So, what I do each week is that I post up a video, right, on the weekends, right, sharing with you my thoughts on the market. So, my trading style is, I would say trend trading. I like to trade with the trends. So, the videos that you receive each week, basically, talking about markets which are, I believe, right, trending really well, or not say really well, but catch my attention because they are trending, and I'll share with you, right, how I'm looking to trade them, or maybe if I'm in any position, I'll share with you how I'm looking to manage those trades I'm currently in. So there's a little bit of, psychology, trade management, entries, exits, and much more. So this is basically, a video I do each week, right, for free, and with the hopes of, sharing my thoughts with more traders and, helping you with your trading along the way. Okay? So back to this week's market, right? The first market I want to share with you is the S&P 500. I had to even think about what markets I want to talk about. So it's the S&P 500. I will talk about it, right? Share with you my views on it, and then I want to talk about the dollar against the Indian rupee because I'm bullish on the dollar against the Indian rupee, and I want to share with you a long opportunity that I've just spotted. Okay? So all this and more in this week's market analysis. I'll see you there. Okie dokie. So what you're looking right now on this chart is the S&P 500, the ES, right, E-mini S&P, the daily time frame. So a lot of traders will look at this chart and they look at something and say, oh wow, look at this, potential top in the market, right? You have price coming into this area of resistance, right? So we say, oh, there's a potential, massive top forming in the market. So that's it, right? If you just look at a daily time frame, it would be, I would say, it is not enough because you really need to understand the context of the markets. So what I mean by context of the markets is, what is price doing relative to the higher time frame? That is important, right? So this is the daily time frame, and I would like you to go up one time frame higher, which is the weekly, to see where the market is in the grand scheme of things. Right? So you can see on the weekly time frame, things are looking much different here, right? You see that it has been a long-term uptrend, right, over the last 3-4 years. And right now, price seems to be approaching this area of resistance, and this is the area of support. So looking at which, right, if you ask me, does this look like a massive top forming in the market? Well, there could be this possibility because it's coming to approach this area of resistance once more. But for me, as a trend follower, right, as someone who likes to trade with the trend, I would rather choose to believe that, the trend is still towards the upside. Because if you look at it historically, right, the uptrend is still intact. The only time when the uptrend will be violated if it can close below this area of support, right? If it can close below this area of support where price trade lower, and break and close below it, then I would say the trend would have reversed, right? But as of right now, the trend to me is still clearly intact, right? It is coming into an area of resistance where sellers may lurk around, right? So this will be interesting to see, what happens next. So that said, I'm bullish on the S&P, right? And how I'll be looking to trade it is that if it can, approach this area of resistance, starts to consolidate and then break up, that would be ideal, and I'll look to get long on the S&P. Alternatively, if you can retrace back towards these lows over here, this is another value buy to go long on the S&P. But my take on the S&P is still bullish, right? I'm not bearish on it because I've yet to see any structural changes that make me want to change my decision. No doubt, I know that it's approaching an area of resistance where sellers could be at, but still, right, it is still too early to say whether this is a top in the market. But for those traders who are more aggressive, right, who likes to pick tops and bottoms in the market, right, if you ask me, right, if you want to pick tops in the market, this is I would say one of the best spot you can look to short from, right? Because if you go short over here at this resistance, where will you be proven wrong, right? It's very easy to know when you're proven wrong if price breaks out and trades above the high. If it trades above somewhere around here, breaking out above the high, you're wrong. So if you want to, take a shot at this, right, in trying to, predict this is the top, right, I would say this area of resistance is one of the best places you can get to go short this market. But again, it is not going to be easy because for those of you who are short, right, as price trades lower, right, you feel good by yourself, right, you're in the money. But as you start to retrace higher, you start to have doubts on yourself because you tell yourself, okay, this is in an uptrend, right? What if I'm wrong, What if, the trend will continue, right? I better bail out my trade, and you exit the trade, and, you have probably, a very small profit at the end of it. So it's not easy, being a counter trend trader. There is a lot of psychological, thinking that's going on in your head that would tend to make you exit your trade faster than you want it to be. So it is very, I have never come across a trader who managed to short at the highs and then price, collapse all the way to the low and is still holding the trade. What usually happens is that for those counter trend traders who like to take counter trend setups, they go short down here and price goes a little bit in their favor, they bail out the trade. Because it's really not easy to be against the dominant trend. Alright, so this is something for you to really think about for those of you who want to take a counter trend setups. Okay, so that's my take on the S&P, right? Overall, I'm still bullish, right? And to see, whether we can see higher prices in the weeks ahead. So now, another market I want to walk you through is the dollar against the Indian rupee, right? Is the USD INR. So early on in my trading days, I get mixed up, right? I thought this is the Indonesian rupiah, but it's not, right? INR is the Indian rupee, so bear that in mind. So that's it. You look at a weekly time frame, right? USD against the INR, you see that it is in an uptrend, right? You have higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, high, high, higher high, high, high. For those of you who like to draw a channel, I can give you some channel as well. I just draw a channel connecting the lows, right? Let's see how we do this. Connecting the lows, connect the highs, something like that, right? You can see it's trading within this channel, but I don't really use channel much, so let me get rid of it. But for those of you who use it, right, it's perfectly fine. So you also notice that the red line here is the 20 period moving average, the blue line is the 50, and it's currently acting as dynamic support, right? It's an area where buyers like to step in and push price higher, push price higher, push price higher, push price. I mean, this is not higher yet, but it's a potential area where buyers may come in. So right now, you know that the dollar against the Indian rupee is at an area where buyers may potentially come in, right? It's consolidating over here. So that's it. This is the big picture for the weekly time frame, right? I'm not looking to trade off the weekly time frame because the stop loss is too large. What I like to do instead is I go down to the daily time frame, right, and identify trading setup, trading opportunity to get long, with my buyers, which I share with you on this weekly time frame, which is bullish. So on the daily time frame, right, you see that we have this pretty, steep pullback over here, this portion over here. And if you ask me, right, it is there is crack, right? There is certain signs in this market that's telling me that the bulls are prepared to come in again to push price higher. How do I know that, right? Just look at the price action, right? Just look at the price action. You don't need any fancy indicators or whatever. Just look at higher highs, higher lows, and it can tell you a lot. Look at this pullback, right? You have lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low, and pump, higher low over here, right? You have this higher low over here, right? So this is a sign that the bulls are stepping in, right? Trying to push price higher. Because if you know that if this retracement is towards the downside, you see a series of lower lows and lower highs. But first, right now you're seeing the first sign that the bulls are ready to step in, right? You have a higher low. So that's it for me. I will look to get long this market if price can break and close above this area of resistance. Because if you can do that, you now have a higher low and a higher high. And on top of it, you are trading in an area of value on the weekly time frame, which is this over here. Right? So this is significant, right? You're still in an uptrend. You have wait for the bulls to tilt their hand and show you that they are ready to trade back towards in line with the trend. So this is what basically you're doing, right? Waiting for the opportunity to unfold itself and then take a trade at it. So this is my plan for the dollar against the Indian rupee, right? Waiting for it to break and close above this area of resistance before I go long, right? Stop loss I like to use 2 times the average true range and to see how far this move can go. So there are a few ways you can go about it, right? For those of you who are swing traders, right, you can look to take half your profits at this swing high and the remaining half at this high over here. For those of you who want to ride the trend, you can choose to hold on as long as possible, as long as the trend is still intact. So there are different ways to manage this trade, really depending on what do you want out of this trade, what are your expectations out of it, right? Whether you're trading for an income, whether you're trading to grow your wealth, right? Different goals in trading would lead to having different methodologies to accomplish these goals. Okay, so I hope this gives you an insight into the dollar against the Indian rupee. So that's it. Before I end off in this week's market analysis, right? I'm not really covering a lot of markets, but I want to share with you something which I think is important, right? I'm sure you know that with the invention of social media, right? You are on Facebook, Twitter, etc. You see a lot of information on trading out there, right? And sometimes some of the information are good, and some are simply maybe noise to you. And sometimes I find that there is a good side and a bad side to social media. The good side is that you have access to better traders out there. You can pick their brains. You can access to quality information for maybe a fraction of the price. The bad side of it is that there is so much information out there. There is so much fluff, and it's so hard to ask yourself or to find out which is the real stuff, right? It will lead you to, you know, analysis paralysis, right? One trader is trading breakout, another is trading pullback, another is trading patterns. So we know, how do I even begin? So yeah, this is, I would say, the downside of, you know, being access to so much trading information. All right, and on top of it, you have the issue of, you know, traders posting their so-called P&L, their track record on social media, right? You say, oh, I've made 30% this month. Then you see, hey, wow, the trader is making 30%, and I myself, I barely made, you know, 2%, or maybe worse, I had a down month, right? Then you start feeling lousy about yourself. You start doubting your trading system. You start thinking that you start thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. So you have all these negative thoughts going in your head on social media. So my advice to you is this, right? Ignore what other traders are doing. It is absolutely no concern to you what they are doing, right? What's important for you as a trader is that you are following your trading plan, right? So what's a trading plan, right? A trading plan is basically the plan, your blueprint for success that tells you how exactly you enter, exit, manage your trades, and, you know, everything else. So for those of you who want to learn how to develop your own trading plan, I'll put a link below of this video later. You can click on it, and I'll link you to a blog post that I share more with you on how to actually develop your trading plan. So that's it, right? Your concern as a trader is to, you know, to focus on following your trading plan. Don't be, you know, concerned with, you know, how much other traders are doing, because number one, you do not know what is their trading methodology. Number two, you don't know how much they're risking on each trade. Number three, you basically, you know, they could be trading without stop loss for all you know. So there is too many unknown variables, right? And I would say, you know, it's basically none of your concern what they're doing, how well they're doing, how poor they're doing. None of your business. Your only concern, right, is following your trading plan, right? Because you know, you follow your trading plan long enough, and when you have an edge in the markets, right, you will come out ahead in the markets. So do not get affected by all this, you know, short-term noise in the market. Focus on the big picture, right? Focus where you want to be, you know, in 5 years time, 10 years time, right, for your trading, and then work at it today, right now. Okay? So the social media can be a good place, right, to interact with other traders, pick, you know, traders' brain, learn new knowledge, but it also can have a downside, right, where you have so much information, and maybe, you know, you are feeling lousy about yourself when you see other traders who are doing well. Okay? So don't worry, right? You're not alone, right? I believe, right, there are a lot of traders out there just like you, and I want to tell you that, you know, don't worry, right? You're not alone. Okay? So that's it, right? That's all I have for you in this week's market analysis. We didn't really cover much, but I hope, you know, the two markets I just shared with you give you a greater insight into how I trade with the trends, and, you know, to give you the support that you need in this, you know, lonely journey. Because I admit it can be pretty lonely at times. Okay? So with that, I wish you good luck and good trading, right? I talk to you soon.